Hello and welcome to Smart Reads in Minutes, where we break down the most powerful books into bite-sized summaries. Today, we're diving into The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey, a transformative book that goes beyond quick fixes and teaches timeless principles for personal and professional success. Let's get started. Part 1, Paradigms and Principles. Chapter 1, Inside Out. Stephen Covey begins by highlighting a fundamental problem many people face. Outward success does not necessarily translate into inner fulfillment. He shares stories of individuals who have achieved career milestones but struggle with personal issues such as disconnected relationships, lack of self-discipline, and a deep feeling of dissatisfaction. The central idea of this chapter is that true effectiveness comes from an inside-out approach, changing oneself first before attempting to change external circumstances. The shift from personality ethic to character ethic. Covey distinguishes between two paradigms in personal development: the personality ethic and the character ethic. The character ethic, which dominated literature before the 20th century, focuses on core principles such as integrity, humility, courage, and patience. It asserts that long-term success and happiness stem from internal values, rather than external skills or tactics. In contrast, the personality ethic, which became prevalent in the 20th century, emphasizes surface-level strategies, image management, and quick fixes, such as social charm, manipulation techniques, or positive thinking. Covey argues that while the personality ethic may lead to short-term gains, it ultimately lacks the depth and authenticity required for meaningful and lasting success. Through personal experiences, including challenges with his own son's self-esteem, Covey realized that no amount of external encouragement or motivational tactics could compensate for the deeper issue, his own perception of his son. He and his wife had to shift their mindset from trying to fix their son to truly accepting him for who he was. This inner transformation changed the dynamic of their relationship and led to his son's natural development. Paradigms and how they shape our reality. A central concept in this chapter is the idea of paradigms, which Covey describes as mental maps that shape the way we see the world. He uses a visual exercise, an image that can be perceived as either an old woman or a young woman, to illustrate how individuals can view the same reality differently based on their prior conditioning. This demonstrates that our perceptions are subjective, and our responses to situations are shaped by our ingrained paradigms rather than reality itself. Covey argues that in order to bring about lasting change, one must first examine and shift their paradigms. Attempting to alter behavior without addressing the underlying paradigm is ineffective, much like trying to navigate a city with the wrong map. This realization underscores the importance of self-awareness and personal growth as a foundation for effectiveness. The power of paradigm shifts. Covey introduces the concept of a paradigm shift, which occurs when a fundamental change in perception leads to new ways of thinking and behaving. He uses historical and personal examples to illustrate how new paradigms can revolutionize industries, relationships, and self-perception. He stresses that adopting an inside-out approach, focusing on personal growth, responsibility, and deep-rooted principles, enables individuals to see and respond to the world in more effective ways. Rather than seeking external validation or temporary solutions, Covey urges readers to reflect on their deepest values, develop their character, and align their actions with fundamental principles. He emphasizes that true transformation begins with self-awareness and the willingness to shift one's own paradigms. Chapter 2: Principles of Personal Leadership. Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People introduces Habit 2 as the foundation for personal leadership. This chapter is about envisioning one's life, setting a clear destination, and understanding the fundamental difference between leadership and management. Covey emphasizes that all things are created twice, once in the mind and then in reality. This chapter guides individuals in taking control of the first creation by designing a personal mission statement and aligning their actions with long-term values. Leadership versus management, the two creations. Covey makes an important distinction between leadership and management. Leadership is the first creation, where individuals decide what they want to achieve and where they want to go. It answers the question, what are the right things to do? Management, on the other hand, is about doing things efficiently. It answers the question, how can we best accomplish tasks? Covey compares this concept to a group of people cutting through a jungle. The managers sharpen machetes, optimize cutting techniques, and improve efficiency, while the leader climbs a tree and determines whether they are in the right jungle. Without leadership, even the most efficient management is meaningless. People often get caught up in management, focusing on immediate tasks without questioning if their efforts align with their larger life goals. Covey warns that being highly productive does not always mean being effective. Many individuals spend their lives climbing a ladder of success only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. To avoid this, one must practice personal leadership by defining their ultimate goals and working toward them with intentionality. Writing a personal mission statement. A key exercise in this chapter is the development of a personal mission statement, which serves as a guiding principle for one's life. Covey suggests that just as successful businesses have mission statements outlining their purpose and values, individuals should have one as well. This document should reflect one's deepest values, long-term goals, and the principles that will govern decision-making. Creating a mission statement requires deep self-reflection. Covey encourages individuals to visualize their own funeral and ask, what do I want people to say about me? What legacy do I want to leave? By answering these questions, individuals can clarify their core values and determine what truly matters. This mission statement then becomes a framework for all future decisions, ensuring that daily actions align with one's highest priorities. Unlike goals, which are specific and time-bound, a mission statement is broad and enduring. It does not focus on short-term achievements, but rather on the principles that guide a fulfilling life. It serves as a personal constitution, a foundation upon which all choices are made. Rescripting, becoming the first creator. Most people live their lives based on scripts handed to them by family, society, and culture. Covey introduces the idea of rescripting, the process of rewriting one's own story based on conscious choice rather than external influences. He argues that many people unknowingly adopt values and beliefs that do not serve them, leading to frustration and lack of fulfillment. To illustrate, Covey discusses how individuals are often conditioned to seek external approval, accumulate wealth, or follow predetermined career paths without questioning whether these pursuits truly align with their values. Rescripting requires self-awareness and a willingness to challenge inherited paradigms. It involves using imagination to create a new vision for one's life and conscience to align with principles that lead to genuine happiness. Covey highlights the example of Anwar Sadat, former president of Egypt, who transformed his deeply ingrained hatred for Israel into a vision of peace. Through introspection and conscious rescripting, Sadat rewrote his personal mission and ultimately became a peacemaker, demonstrating the power of shifting one's paradigms through deliberate personal leadership. Using principles as a compass. The chapter emphasizes that effectiveness is built upon aligning life decisions with unchanging principles rather than shifting emotions, circumstances, or external pressures. Principles such as integrity, fairness, contribution, and service remain constant, unlike trends or societal expectations. By centering one's life on these principles, individuals develop a deep sense of security, clarity, and direction. Covey contrasts principle-centered living with other common life centers, such as money, pleasure, family, or career. While these may provide temporary motivation, they are unstable because they depend on external factors. A principle-centered life, on the other hand, provides a consistent foundation that enables individuals to navigate challenges with confidence. By internalizing habit 2 and practicing personal leadership, individuals gain the power to take control of their first creation, their vision and direction, ensuring that their daily actions contribute to a deeply meaningful and fulfilling life. Part 2. Private victory, focusing on self. Habit 1. Be proactive, the foundation of personal effectiveness. Stephen Covey begins Habit 1. Be proactive by emphasizing that the ability to be proactive is the most fundamental habit of highly effective people. Proactivity means taking responsibility for one's actions and behaviors instead of reacting to external circumstances. Covey introduces the idea that between stimulus and response, human beings have the power to choose. Unlike animals, which react instinctively, humans have self-awareness, imagination, conscience, and independent will, qualities that allow them to respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. Covey contrasts two types of people: proactive individuals who take initiative and responsibility for their lives, and reactive individuals who blame external circumstances for their problems. He explains that proactive individuals focus on what they can control rather than wasting energy on things outside their influence. They develop an internal locus of control, believing that their success and happiness depend on their own choices rather than on luck, fate, or other people's actions. The circle of concern versus the circle of influence. Covey introduces the circle of concern and the circle of influence as tools to help distinguish what people worry about versus what they can actually impact. The circle of concern includes external factors like the economy, politics, or other people's opinions, things outside one's control. The circle of influence, however, consists of things a person can directly affect, such as their own attitudes, decisions, and behaviors. Effective individuals focus their time and energy on expanding their circle of influence, which leads to increased control over their lives. In contrast, reactive people dwell on their circle of concern, complaining about things they cannot change. Covey argues that a proactive approach helps individuals gain more influence and effectiveness over time. Language as a reflection of proactivity. Another key aspect of proactivity is language. Covey discusses how the words people use reveal whether they are proactive or reactive. Reactive people use phrases like, "There's nothing I can do. That's just the way I am. If only my boss were more understanding. I have to do this." These statements indicate a lack of control and responsibility. Proactive people, on the other hand, use empowering language such as, "Let's look at our options. I can choose a different approach. I will find a way to make it work." By changing their language, individuals can shift their mindset from victimhood to empowerment. Taking responsibility for one's own life. Proactivity is fundamentally about recognizing that we are responsible for our own lives. Covey argues that individuals who blame others, make excuses, or wait for external circumstances to improve will always remain stuck in a cycle of dependency. By contrast, those who take responsibility for their choices and actions can create positive change in their lives. Covey also addresses the difference between responsibility, the ability to choose one's response, and reacting impulsively. He highlights that proactive individuals act based on values rather than moods or conditions. They take ownership of their problems and do not allow emotions or circumstances to dictate their behavior. The power of commitment and initiative. A critical part of being proactive is keeping commitments, both to oneself and others. Covey states that people who make promises and follow through develop self-discipline and integrity. This strengthens their personal power and credibility. He also emphasizes the importance of taking initiative rather than waiting for someone else to act. Proactive individuals don't wait for perfect conditions. They create opportunities through action. Developing a proactive mindset. Covey suggests that individuals can strengthen their proactivity by practicing small acts of responsibility daily. This could be as simple as waking up on time, controlling one's temper, or following through on a personal goal. The more a person acts in alignment with their values, the more proactive they become. The chapter concludes with the idea that by consistently making proactive choices, individuals gain greater control over their lives and their future. Habit 1 sets the foundation for all the other habits in Covey's framework, as it establishes the mindset of ownership and intentionality. Habit 2, begin with the end in mind. Visualizing the end. Stephen R. Covey introduces Habit 2, begin with the end in mind, by guiding the reader through a powerful mental exercise. He asks them to imagine their own funeral 3 years in the future, picturing the attendees, the emotions, and most importantly, the eulogies given by 4 significant people: a family member, a friend, a colleague, and someone from a community organization. This exercise encourages deep reflection on the legacy one wishes to leave behind, pushing the reader to consider their values, character, and contributions to others' lives. The purpose of this visualization is to help individuals realize what truly matters to them, allowing them to align their daily actions with their long-term vision. By clarifying their values, they can make conscious decisions that lead to a meaningful and fulfilling life, rather than being caught up in societal pressures or mindless pursuits of success. The core concept, the 2 creations. Covey explains that everything is created twice, first in the mind, mental creation, and then in reality, physical creation. He uses the example of constructing a home. Architects and engineers plan every detail before a single brick is laid. Similarly, individuals must consciously design their lives before taking action. Without this proactive approach, people risk spending years climbing the ladder of success, only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. This principle applies to various aspects of life, including careers, relationships, and personal development. Without a clear vision, people often achieve short-term victories that feel empty in the long run. Doctors, athletes, and business professionals may reach the pinnacle of their careers only to find themselves unfulfilled because they never defined their true purpose. Personal mission statements. One of the most effective ways to begin with the end in mind is by creating a personal mission statement. This document serves as a guiding principle for all decisions and actions, much like a constitution. It defines a person's core values, long-term goals, and the type of person they want to become. Covey emphasizes that individuals should not let external influences, family expectations, societal norms, or peer pressure dictate their mission. Instead, they must take charge of their own first creation, making sure it reflects their deepest values. He also highlights that organizations and families can benefit from mission statements. A strong, well-defined family mission can foster unity and purpose, helping members work together towards shared goals. Similarly, businesses that operate with a clear vision are more likely to succeed, as they align their strategies with a well-thought-out end goal. Leadership versus management. Covey differentiates between leadership and management, stating that leadership is the first creation, the vision, while management is the second creation, execution. He stresses that many people and organizations focus too much on management, efficiency, and productivity, without ensuring they are heading in the right direction. Using a jungle metaphor, he explains that managers are the ones cutting through the thick vegetation with great speed and precision, while leaders climb the tallest trees to ensure they are going the right way. The absence of clear leadership results in people working harder, but not necessarily making progress toward meaningful success. Effective leadership requires one to frequently step back, evaluate their direction, and make necessary course corrections. Designing life by choice, not by default. Covey warns against living life on autopilot, following scripts handed down by family, culture, or circumstances. Many people drift through life, reacting to external influences rather than proactively shaping their destinies. This passive approach often leads to dissatisfaction and regret, as people wake up years later realizing they never pursued what truly mattered to them. To counter this, he advises individuals to take responsibility for their own lives by being proactive in defining their goals and values. By consciously choosing their path, they can break free from societal conditioning and build a life of purpose and fulfillment. Habit 3. Put first things first. Understanding Habit 3. Habit 3. Put first things first is about translating the vision and values established in Habits 1 and 2 into practical, daily actions. If Habit 1 is about recognizing personal responsibility, being proactive, and Habit 2 is about defining a clear mission beginning with the end in mind, then Habit 3 is about managing time and actions to align with that mission. This habit deals with effective self-management, ensuring that priorities guide behavior rather than being driven by external pressures, distractions, or urgency. Covey begins by distinguishing leadership from management. Leadership, as discussed in Habit 2, is about setting direction, choosing which jungle to work in. Management, on the other hand, is about efficiency, cutting through the jungle effectively. Without good leadership, strong management is futile because it may mean climbing the wrong ladder efficiently. This habit focuses on time management, discipline, and prioritization. The central question is, are we doing what truly matters, or are we simply reacting to immediate demands? Covey introduces a practical framework to help individuals focus on high-priority, high-impact activities rather than reacting to urgent but less important tasks. The 4 quadrants of time management. Covey presents the time management matrix, which classifies activities into 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1, urgent and important, crises, pressing problems, and deadline-driven projects. These tasks require immediate attention but should be minimized through better planning. Quadrant 2, not urgent but important. Long-term planning, relationship building, personal development, and preventive measures. These are high-impact activities that lead to long-term success. Quadrant 3, urgent but not important. Interruptions, unnecessary meetings, and other people's priorities. These tasks often seem pressing but do not contribute meaningfully to long-term goals. Quadrant 4, not urgent and not important. Time-wasting activities, such as excessive social media, trivial tasks, and excessive relaxation. These should be minimized or eliminated. Covey emphasizes that highly effective people focus most of their time in Quadrant 2, engaging in meaningful and proactive activities that prevent crises, improve relationships, and contribute to long-term goals. This requires discipline and the ability to say no to Quadrant 3 and 4 distractions. The power of independent will. Covey explains that independent will, the ability to make and stick to decisions that align with values, is key to personal effectiveness. It is not just about managing time, but managing oneself. He emphasizes that successful people do things failures don't like to do. Even if these tasks are difficult or uncomfortable, they align with deeper values, making them worth pursuing. To exercise independent will effectively, Covey encourages individuals to use weekly planning rather than daily to-do lists. Instead of simply reacting to daily tasks, weekly planning ensures that one's long-term vision is broken into meaningful, manageable steps. This allows for flexibility while ensuring that major goals remain the focus. The Quadrant 2, focus, living proactively. Covey shares that those who operate primarily in Quadrant 2 experience lower stress, better relationships, and long-term success. By scheduling time for Quadrant 2 activities, such as exercise, family time, and skill building, people avoid burnout and crisis management. One of the biggest obstacles to staying in Quadrant 2 is the inability to say no to Quadrant 3 tasks. Many people struggle with rejecting unnecessary commitments because they fear disappointing others. Covey suggests that learning to say no firmly but kindly is essential for maintaining focus. For example, he shares a story about an employee who had multiple priorities. When asked to take on an additional task, the employee responded by showing their manager a board listing all their ongoing projects and asked which tasks should be delayed to accommodate the new request. This forced the manager to reconsider the urgency of their request, demonstrating a proactive approach to managing priorities. Integrity and commitment to priorities. Integrity, keeping commitments to oneself, is a crucial aspect of Habit 3. Many people struggle with maintaining personal commitments because they prioritize external obligations over their personal growth. Covey argues that treating personal commitments with the same importance as professional commitments builds self-respect and trust in one's abilities. Living Habit 3 means taking control of time and actions. It means running the program defined in Habit 2 and ensuring that every day aligns with long-term values. Success is not about being busy, but about being effective. Putting first things first ensures that every action is meaningful and contributes to a greater purpose. Part 3. Public Victory, focusing on interdependence. Habit 4. Think win-win. Habit 4, Think win-win, is a fundamental shift in mindset that emphasizes mutual benefit in human interactions. Stephen Covey argues that truly effective people focus on creating situations where all parties involved can win, rather than adopting a competitive win-lose approach. This mindset stems from an abundance mentality, the belief that there is enough success, recognition, and resources for everyone, rather than a scarcity mindset that assumes one person's gain is another's loss. Understanding win-win thinking. Covey introduces win-win as a principle that seeks mutual benefit and long-term cooperation. He explains that most of society operates on a win-lose or lose-win mentality. In a win-lose scenario, one party succeeds at the expense of another, often driven by competition, power struggles, and ego. On the other hand, a lose-win mentality leads individuals to give in, avoid conflict, and prioritize others' needs at their own expense. Neither of these approaches is sustainable or truly effective in the long run. Covey contrasts these with the win-win or no-deal approach, which suggests that if a mutually beneficial agreement cannot be reached, both parties should walk away without a deal rather than settle for an unfair arrangement. This prevents resentment and establishes trust in relationships, whether personal or professional. The 5 dimensions of win-win. To develop a win-win mindset, Covey introduces 5 essential dimensions. Character. The foundation of win-win thinking starts with personal integrity, maturity, and an abundance mentality. Integrity ensures that individuals are honest and true to their commitments. Maturity is the balance between courage and consideration, standing firm for one's own values while also respecting others. The abundance mentality is the belief that there is enough success for everyone, encouraging collaboration instead of competition. Relationships. Strong, trust-based relationships allow for open communication and collaboration. If trust exists between parties, negotiations and problem-solving become easier, as each person is confident that the other is acting in good faith. Agreements. Clear agreements define expected outcomes, accountability, and evaluation metrics. Win-win agreements are based on shared objectives, clear roles, and measurable results. They encourage self-governance and empowerment rather than micromanagement. Supportive systems. Organizations and individuals must align their reward structures with a win-win philosophy. Many institutions claim to support teamwork and collaboration, but still reward competition, which undermines a true win-win culture. Processes. Effective negotiation and problem-solving processes help create win-win solutions. This includes looking at issues from all perspectives, identifying key concerns, and brainstorming creative solutions that benefit all parties involved. Shifting from scarcity to abundance. A key obstacle to achieving win-win is the scarcity mindset, which assumes that resources and success are limited. People with a scarcity mindset fear that if someone else wins, they must lose, leading to competition, jealousy, and power struggles. In contrast, the abundance mentality fosters trust, collaboration, and creative solutions, ensuring that success is shared rather than hoarded. Covey highlights how many organizations and individuals unintentionally foster a win-lose mentality through competitive structures. He argues that effective leaders must actively cultivate an environment where employees feel valued, collaboration is encouraged, and rewards are based on contribution rather than rivalry. Applying win-win in everyday life. The win-win mindset is applicable in all areas of life. In the workplace, it leads to better teamwork, higher morale, and increased productivity. In relationships, it fosters deeper trust, understanding, and mutual support. In family dynamics, it encourages respect and cooperation rather than authoritarian or submissive behavior. Covey emphasizes that win-win is not about being soft or avoiding difficult discussions. Instead, it requires strength, assertiveness, and a commitment to fairness. It is about genuinely considering another person's perspective while maintaining one's own integrity and objectives. Habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. The essence of empathic communication. Stephen Covey emphasizes that most people listen with the intent to reply rather than to truly understand. This habit is rooted in the principle of empathic listening, which involves fully engaging with another person's perspective before sharing your own. Covey argues that real communication is not just about expressing one's own views, but about genuinely listening and seeking to comprehend another person's thoughts, emotions, and experiences. Often, people listen on a superficial level, filtering everything they hear through their own experiences, assumptions, and biases. Covey categorizes listening into different levels: ignoring, pretending to listen, selective listening, attentive listening, and finally, empathic listening, the highest and most effective level. Empathic listening requires a deep level of focus and a genuine desire to understand the other person's point of view without imposing one's own agenda. The danger of autobiographical responses. One of the biggest obstacles to true understanding is what Covey calls autobiographical responses. People tend to project their own life experiences onto others when listening. Instead of actually hearing what the other person is saying, they interpret the conversation through their own lens. Covey identifies 4 common autobiographical responses: evaluating, judging whether what the person says is right or wrong; probing, asking questions that are based on one's own perspective rather than genuinely exploring the other person's thoughts; advising, jumping in to provide a solution based on one's own experiences; interpreting, trying to analyze the speaker's motives and behavior according to one's own assumptions. These responses often hinder meaningful communication because they shift the focus away from the other person's experiences and onto the listener's personal worldview. This can make the other person feel misunderstood, invalidated, or even frustrated. The power of empathic listening. Covey explains that empathic listening is about truly stepping into another person's world and seeing things as they see them. It requires patience, an open mind, and the ability to refrain from immediately offering advice or solutions. The key is to listen with the intent to understand, not to reply or correct. This type of listening builds trust, strengthens relationships, and fosters deeper connections. Empathic listening is not just about hearing words. It involves picking up on emotions, tone, and body language. Covey highlights that people often express themselves in nonverbal ways, and being able to recognize and acknowledge these unspoken cues is a crucial part of effective communication. One of the best techniques for empathic listening is reflective listening, repeating back what the other person has said in a way that shows you understand. This doesn't mean parroting their words, but rather summarizing their thoughts in a way that demonstrates genuine comprehension. Seeking to be understood. The second part of Habit 5 is learning how to communicate your own thoughts and feelings effectively. Once you have truly understood the other person, you are in a much better position to share your own perspective in a way that will be well received. Covey suggests using the ethos, pathos, and logos framework to communicate persuasively. Ethos, character. Establish credibility by showing integrity and building trust. Pathos, emotion. Connect with the other person emotionally. Logos, logic. Present your ideas logically and clearly. By first seeking to understand and then expressing oneself in a thoughtful and structured manner, communication becomes much more effective and meaningful. Applying Habit 5 in everyday life. Covey illustrates how Habit 5 can be applied in various aspects of life, from personal relationships to professional environments. For example, in family life, parents who listen to their children with empathy create an environment where their kids feel safe to express their emotions. In business, leaders who practice empathic listening build trust and foster collaboration among employees. In conflict resolution, seeking first to understand helps de-escalate tensions and create solutions that work for both parties. Covey emphasizes that mastering this habit takes practice, but once it becomes a natural part of one's communication style, it significantly improves the quality of relationships and interactions. Habit 6. Synergize. Understanding synergy. Synergy is the principle of creative cooperation, where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Covey describes it as a natural law, much like gravity, that leads to exponential results when people work together in an open and trusting environment. Synergy isn't just about compromise, it's about creating a solution that is better than what either party originally envisioned. Covey emphasizes that synergy thrives on differences, rather than avoiding or minimizing differences in perspectives, habits, or backgrounds. Truly effective people leverage these differences to create innovative solutions. When individuals approach a problem with openness and mutual respect, they unlock higher levels of creativity and cooperation, which Covey refers to as the third alternative, an outcome that is not just my way or your way, but a better way. The role of trust and communication. Synergy cannot exist without high levels of trust and open communication. Covey differentiates between low-trust environments, where people are defensive and hesitant, and high-trust environments, where openness leads to collaboration. In a low-trust environment, people often settle for compromise, which may not yield the best results. However, in high-trust situations, individuals listen empathetically and work toward solutions that neither side may have previously considered. Effective synergy requires both courage and consideration. Courage allows individuals to express their thoughts honestly, while consideration ensures they are also listening to and respecting the ideas of others. The key to synergy is to replace defensive communication with creative cooperation, where both sides are committed to understanding each other's perspectives before formulating a solution. Practical applications of synergy. Covey provides multiple real-world examples of synergy. One example involves nature. Plants, animals, and ecosystems thrive because of their interdependence. Likewise, people in organizations and families achieve better outcomes when they work together. In business, synergy is often seen in team-based problem-solving. Covey describes situations where diverse teams, including individuals from different departments, cultural backgrounds, and expertise have created groundbreaking solutions that no single individual could have developed alone. In relationships, synergy allows people to overcome challenges by valuing differences rather than fighting against them. Instead of forcing someone to agree with their perspective, effective individuals seek a higher solution that meets both parties' needs. Overcoming barriers to synergy. Not everyone naturally embraces synergy. Covey discusses paradigms of competition and defensiveness as major obstacles. Many people see differences as a threat rather than an opportunity. When individuals cling to their own perspectives and refuse to consider alternatives, synergy becomes impossible. Covey suggests that the key to overcoming this barrier is internal security, having enough confidence in oneself to be open to other perspectives. This means shifting from an ego-driven mindset to a mindset of curiosity and respect. One of the greatest dangers to synergy is thinking win-lose instead of win-win. People who focus on their own success at the expense of others will never achieve true synergy. Instead, leaders and individuals must cultivate an abundance mentality, believing that there is enough success, recognition, and value for everyone. The power of synergy in leadership. Great leaders practice synergy by actively seeking out and valuing different opinions. They do not surround themselves with people who think exactly like them, but rather build diverse teams with complementary skills and perspectives. This creates transformational leadership, where the leader's role is not to dictate, but to facilitate the best ideas from a group. Covey argues that synergy is the highest form of teamwork. When individuals embrace this habit, they shift from mere tolerance of differences to celebration of them. Instead of seeing conflict as a barrier, they see it as a doorway to better ideas. Part 4. Renewal. Habit 7. Sharpen the Saw. Principles of balanced self-renewal. The concept of sharpening the saw. Stephen R. Covey introduces sharpening the saw as a metaphor for self-renewal and continual self-improvement. The concept comes from the story of a man who is trying to cut down a tree with a dull saw. When advised to take a break and sharpen it to make the process more efficient, the man refuses, stating he is too busy cutting the tree. This anecdote highlights the necessity of taking time to renew and improve oneself rather than continuously working inefficiently. Habit 7 acts as the foundation that supports all the other habits, making it an essential practice for achieving personal and professional effectiveness. The 4 dimensions of renewal. Covey explains that self-renewal must occur in 4 dimensions: physical, spiritual, mental, and social, emotional. These dimensions represent the holistic approach to self-care and growth. Physical renewal. The physical dimension focuses on taking care of one's body through proper nutrition, exercise, and rest. Covey emphasizes that without a healthy body, one cannot effectively function in personal or professional life. Exercise strengthens the body and helps build the discipline necessary for self-control in other aspects of life. By investing time in fitness and health, people increase their ability to sustain energy, think clearly, and handle stress effectively. Spiritual renewal. Spiritual well-being is achieved by connecting with one's deeper values and purpose. Covey suggests engaging in prayer, meditation, reflection, or reading meaningful literature to strengthen this area. Spiritual renewal helps align actions with core beliefs, creating a sense of fulfillment. He argues that dedicating time to spiritual enrichment fosters resilience and the ability to handle challenges with a centered and composed mindset. Mental renewal. Covey stresses continuous learning as a crucial aspect of sharpening the saw. The mind should be challenged through reading, writing, and engaging in deep thinking. He emphasizes the importance of intellectual stimulation beyond passive entertainment, encouraging people to read quality literature, write journals, and expose themselves to diverse perspectives. A well-nourished mind enhances creativity, problem-solving, and decision-making. Social-emotional renewal. Social and emotional well-being is strengthened through meaningful relationships and effective interpersonal communication. Covey connects this dimension to habits 4, 5, and 6, which emphasize thinking win-win, seeking to understand others, and practicing synergy. He notes that emotional intelligence plays a critical role in maintaining healthy relationships and personal fulfillment. Acts of kindness, deep conversations, and mutual respect contribute to a strong social and emotional foundation. The importance of Habit 7 in personal growth. Covey describes sharpening the saw as a quadrant 2 activity, meaning it is important but not urgent. He warns that neglecting self-renewal leads to burnout and decreased effectiveness. People who continuously work without investing in their well-being eventually diminish their capacity to perform efficiently. By consistently renewing themselves in all 4 areas, individuals maintain balance and increase their long-term effectiveness. The upward spiral and continuous growth. Covey concludes by introducing the upward spiral, the idea that growth is a continuous process requiring ongoing learning, commitment, and action. True progress comes from consistently improving in all 4 dimensions, leading to an ever-expanding level of effectiveness. He encourages readers to embrace lifelong self-renewal as a key to achieving lasting success and fulfillment. And that's a wrap on The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. If you found these insights valuable, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. I'd love to hear your biggest takeaways in the comments below. See you in the next one, with much love and gratitude.